There are moments in life when giving up seems like the easier option, when the weight of failure sits heavy on your shoulders and the silence of progress makes you question your purpose. But remember this: today is hard, tomorrow will be worse, but the day after tomorrow will be sunshine. Yes, the journey starts painfully. The beginning is always the toughest. You are misunderstood, overlooked, and even doubted by the people closest to you. You work hard, sacrifice your sleep, ignore the noise. But still, nothing seems to work. That's today. And today is hard. Then comes tomorrow. It doesn't bring relief. It brings more struggle, more setbacks, more rejections. You question everything: your idea, your path, even your worth. But this is where most people give up, right here in the darkness of tomorrow. They don't realize the sunrise is just behind that night. But if you hold on just one more day, if you breathe, fight, and keep showing up, the day after tomorrow arrives. And with it comes the sunshine. The people who once doubted you now believe in you. The seeds you planted in pain begin to bloom in success. The failure you feared becomes the story that inspires others. The truth is, success is not about talent or luck. It's about endurance. It's about who can keep walking when the road disappears, who can smile through rejection and keep building even when no one is watching. The sunshine isn't promised to everyone. It's reserved for those who never give up. So don't stop today. Don't quit tomorrow. Because the day after, the light will be worth every shadow. Hard times are the entry point of greatness. They don't arrive as welcome guests, nor do they feel like opportunities when they first appear. They show up as struggle, rejection, loss, and failure. They knock on your door in silence and often drag you into moments of doubt, fear, and discomfort. But behind all that pain is a purpose, because pressure is what shapes the strongest minds, just as fire forges the strongest steel. No one begins their journey at the top. Every mountain is climbed from the bottom. The beginning always feels unfair because life tests you before it rewards you. Those tests, those exhausting, unforgiving, sleepless days, are not there to punish you. They are there to prepare you. They force you to grow in ways comfort never could. They demand that you change, adapt, and rise. And if you survive that season, if you persist through the hard times, you step into a strength you never knew you had. Greatness is not found in easy victories. It is born in struggle. It is shaped in silence when no one is clapping, when you question whether to continue or quit. It is built when you get up after being knocked down again and again. The truth is, hardship humbles you, and that humility makes you sharper. It teaches you discipline, focus, patience. Things you cannot learn when life is easy. Hard times don't just test you, they teach you. They reveal your character, your values, your endurance. The people who achieve greatness are not the ones who had the perfect plan, the best connections, or unlimited resources. They are the ones who suffered, who failed, who were doubted, but still showed up. They kept moving when everything around them said, stop. They took every no and used it as fuel. They stayed grounded in purpose, even when the path wasn't clear. Because they understood something simple, but powerful: these hard moments were not the end. They were the beginning. What separates those who rise from those who give up is not luck, it's vision. It's the ability to see beyond the pain of today and believe in the possibility of tomorrow. When your dreams are bigger than your fears and your faith outweighs your frustration, you begin to move differently. You learn to appreciate the hardship. Not because it feels good, but because you know what it's making you into. Greatness isn't reserved for the chosen few. It's for the ones who are willing to be broken and built again. For the ones who don't just endure storms, but learn how to dance in the rain. For those who believe that failure is not final, but rather the foundation for future strength. The pain you're experiencing now is not meaningless. It's the cost of transformation, and the people who embrace it, who don't run from it, are the ones who go on to change their world. So if you're in a hard time right now, don't rush through it. Don't curse it. Face it. Learn from it. Build yourself within it. Because on the other side of this valley is a version of you that is stronger, wiser, and more powerful. Greatness is waiting. And the door to it always begins with struggle. Persistence through pain is the real test. It is easy to be motivated when things are going well, when the path is clear and every step forward brings visible progress. But when pain enters the picture, when setbacks become routine, when failure knocks again and again, and when your efforts seem invisible to the world, that's when the true test begins. Pain doesn't just challenge your physical endurance or mental focus, it questions your will. It asks whether your dreams are strong enough to survive discouragement, whether your commitment is deep enough to withstand discomfort, and whether your purpose is real enough to keep going when everything around you is falling apart. There's a quiet war that begins in the soul when you're doing everything right and still nothing seems to work. You wake up each day with hope, only to see it slowly chipped away by rejection, exhaustion, and isolation. Friends stop believing in you. Your plans fall apart. The future looks uncertain, if not completely lost. And yet, the real question is, will you still continue? Persistence is not glamorous. It does not make headlines. It happens in private, in quiet rooms, in lonely nights, in moments where quitting seems not just tempting, but logical. But those who keep going in those moments, those who endure the sting of failure without letting it define them, are the ones who earn success. Not by chance, but by character. The pain you're facing is not a punishment. It is a process. It is life asking you, how much do you really want this? And most people don't pass that test. They turn back the moment it gets too uncomfortable. But those who decide to stay, to push through, discover something powerful. Pain may break the body, but it builds the mind. It sharpens purpose. It deepens gratitude. It creates resilience, not through comfort, but through pressure. You don't truly know what you're capable of until you're tested. And that test won't come when things are easy. It comes when every step forward feels like dragging a mountain. When you have to fight not just external resistance, but the internal voice that says, give up. Real growth begins when you defy that voice, when you keep showing up, not because it's easy, but because you've decided that the goal is worth more than the pain. Persistence through pain is not about pretending everything is fine. It's about showing up even when it's not. It's not about being fearless, but about walking forward despite the fear. It's not about perfection, but about consistency. You fall down 7 times, you get up 8. You cry, you bleed, you lose. But you don't stop. Because the truth is, the breakthrough often comes just after the breakdown. The most beautiful chapters of your life are often written after the hardest battles. And that's why this test matters. It doesn't just determine if you win, it determines who you become. The person who walks out of pain with persistence is not the same person who walked in. They are stronger, wiser, and unshakable. So keep going, not because the pain isn't real, but because your purpose is. Not because you feel strong, but because you are becoming strong. The pain will pass, the wounds will heal. And when the sun rises again, you will stand taller, not in spite of the pain, but because you chose to persist through it. Most people quit too soon, not because they lack talent or potential, but because they misread the silence between effort and reward. They start with energy, with vision, with dreams blazing like fire. But when the applause doesn't come, when progress crawls, and the world seems blind to their effort, doubt begins to grow. The climb feels longer than expected. The steps forward feel smaller than hoped. The mind starts whispering lies. Maybe this isn't for you. Maybe you're not good enough. Maybe it's time to stop. And so they do. They walk away when they were only inches from the breakthrough. They give up right before the tide turns, before the seed they planted breaks the soil. Because progress, real progress, doesn't announce itself. It builds quietly, slowly, beneath the surface. It tests your patience. It challenges your belief. And unless your faith in your path is stronger than your fear of failure, you won't last long enough to see the result. The truth is, effort takes time to translate into outcome, but we've been trained to expect immediate results. We want fast success, quick validation, instant gratification. We forget that the tallest trees take the longest to grow, and the deepest roots develop out of sight. So when people don't see results quickly, they assume they're doing something wrong. They don't realize that the struggle is not a sign of failure, it's a part of the process. Most people quit not at the beginning, but in the middle, when the excitement is gone and the results haven't come. That's the danger zone. That's where grit is born or broken. It's the uncomfortable space where doubt is loudest and motivation is weakest. But those who endure that space, who press on even when nothing around them says they should, are the ones who finally reach the day after tomorrow. The sunshine that everyone talks about, but few wait for. What makes quitting so tempting is that it offers instant relief. You don't have to fight anymore. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to face disappointment. But that relief is temporary, because later comes the quiet ache of regret. The question that never leaves, what if I had just held on a little longer? Winners are not made by perfect plans or flawless execution. They are made by staying when it's hard, by continuing when it's lonely, by believing when there's no reason to. Success often belongs not to the most gifted, but to the most stubborn, the ones who refuse to stop, the ones who know that the process may not be pretty, but it is necessary. There are countless stories of people who almost gave up, who were on the edge of failure, completely exhausted, completely lost, only to find that the next step, the next attempt, was the one that changed everything. But they never would have found it if they had quit just a little earlier. That's the tragedy, not failure, but quitting too early to find out whether you were actually going to succeed. The harsh truth is, you will feel like quitting often. That feeling is normal. But it's not a command, it's a test. It's your future asking, are you ready to fight for me? Because everything worthwhile lies on the other side of resistance. Not before it, not around it. Through it. Most people quit too soon. But you don't have to. Let others stop. Let others settle. But you, be the exception. Be the one who keeps going, who keeps showing up, who keeps building even when it hurts. Because the one who stays in the fight long enough always finds the opening. Always. Success is about resilience, not brilliance. It's a common mistake to believe that only the smartest, most talented, or most innovative people rise to the top. But brilliance alone has never built empires, solved crises, or withstood failure. The world is full of people with genius, level ideas who never executed them. Why? Because brilliance without resilience breaks at the first sign of struggle. The truth is, life rarely rewards the most intelligent, it rewards the most determined, the ones who keep going when the rest give up. Resilience is what keeps you moving when nothing is working. It's what makes you try again after rejection, pick yourself up after embarrassment, and keep believing when there's no applause. Resilience means bending without breaking, absorbing failure without becoming it. It's quiet and invisible, unlike brilliance which shines in conversations and flashes in moments. But resilience lasts, it endures. And that's what makes it powerful. When people look at success from the outside, they often see the polished result, the awards, the wealth, the recognition, and they assume it was achieved because of extraordinary intellect. They don't see the nights spent doubting, the sacrifices made in silence, the painful losses along the way. Brilliance can start the journey, but only resilience completes it, because the path to success is never straight. It's messy, unpredictable, and full of traps. The only way through is to refuse to stop moving. Resilient people don't crumble when they fail. They learn, they adapt, they become better. Every mistake, every setback becomes fuel. They understand that failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the journey to it. Brilliance, without resilience, collapses under pressure. It hesitates when perfection isn't possible. It hesitates to risk, to look foolish, to be wrong. But resilience doesn't care how things look. It cares about how things end. Some of the most successful people in history were never the brightest in the room. They weren't the fastest learners or the most naturally gifted. But they had something stronger. They refused to be defeated by difficulty. They took each hit, stood back up, and moved forward. They had the courage to begin again and again and again. Not because they were sure they'd win, but because they refused to lose. This world doesn't always reward brilliance because brilliance can fade. What it respects deeply, often silently, is the strength to keep showing up, the strength to improve when no one is watching, the strength to face fear, uncertainty, criticism, and still choose to continue. That's the power of resilience. It's the inner voice that says, "I'm not done yet," even when the world says you are. You can have all the ideas in the world, but if you give up after the first no, it won't matter. You can be the most talented person in the room, but if you can't handle failure, disappointment, or delay, your talent will stay unused. Resilience is the bridge between potential and achievement. It carries you through seasons when nothing makes sense, when the work feels thankless, when the outcome seems impossible. And if you stay on that bridge long enough, you will arrive. Success has never belonged only to the brilliant. It has always belonged to those who stayed in the fight, who refused to give up, who kept showing up, especially when it got hard. Brilliance shines for a moment. Resilience burns for a lifetime. And in that quiet, steady fire, true success is forged. Your struggle will become someone's inspiration. It may not feel like it now, especially when you're deep in the pain, when every step feels heavy and the world around you doesn't seem to notice how hard you're trying. In those moments, struggle feels meaningless. It feels personal, isolating, and unfair. But the truth is, what you are enduring is shaping more than just your future. It's creating a story that will one day light the way for someone else. The pain you're carrying now, the battles you're silently fighting, will become the reason someone else doesn't give up. There's something deeply human about watching another person survive what we're afraid of. We look at those who have walked through fire and emerged whole, not untouched, but unbroken, and we feel stronger just by knowing they exist. When people hear your story someday, they won't just hear about your achievements. They'll listen to your hardships, your low points, your heartbreaks, and your perseverance. And it will do something powerful for them. It will give them permission to keep going. It will remind them that pain doesn't last forever and that struggle is not the end of the road. Right now, your wounds are fresh. The weight you're carrying feels like it might crush you. But scars don't stay open forever. They heal. And when they do, they don't just mark you, they teach others. People don't connect with perfection, they connect with perseverance. They're not inspired by those who had it easy. They're inspired by those who made it through the hard way. Your story is building that path, even if you can't see it yet. There's someone out there, maybe someone you haven't met yet, or maybe someone watching silently, who needs to see that survival is possible. They need proof that this pain they're in doesn't last forever. And one day, it will be your life that gives them that proof. It will be your past that becomes their hope. The breakdowns you endure, the nights you cry alone, the moments you nearly give up, those are the very parts of your journey that will resonate most. Not the victory itself, but the fight it took to earn it. And here's the thing, you don't have to wait to be fully healed to be a light for someone else. Even now, in your weakness, you are building strength. Even in your confusion, you are collecting wisdom. The courage it takes just to keep breathing, just to keep trying, that alone is powerful. That alone matters. And one day, when you look back, you will see how your struggle didn't break you. It built something inside you that others will one day draw from. Every person who has ever inspired the world did so not because they were flawless, but because they kept moving through their flaws. They kept rising despite their falls. They kept choosing hope, even when everything around them screamed despair. That's what you are doing now, even if it feels small. And it's those quiet, persistent choices that will become loud with meaning in someone else's life later on. So as you walk this difficult road, as you push through pain that no one else sees, Remember that your struggle has a purpose beyond your own success. You are not just surviving for yourself, you are building strength that someone else will one day borrow. You are becoming the story someone will hold on to when they're ready to give up. Your struggle is shaping not just your future, but someone else's hope, and that makes every step worth it. The sunshine is real, but you must survive the storm. That's the part most people forget. They hear about the success, the breakthroughs, the bright days that follow years of darkness, but they overlook the journey that led there. They admire the light, but ignore the lightning that came before it. The truth is, the storm isn't optional. It's essential. It's where you're shaped, tested, and revealed. You don't get to the sunshine without first standing in the rain, without feeling the wind push against everything you thought was strong, without watching things fall apart so you can learn how to rebuild them stronger. The storm doesn't just challenge you. It strips you down to your core. It exposes what's real. It takes away comfort and routine, forces you to question everything: your plan, your strength, your worth. It shows you who you are when nothing is certain, when every path feels blocked and every option seems to lead to more pain. And yet, that's where the transformation begins. Because what survives the storm is what was meant to last. What makes it through the wind, and the chaos is not fragile, it's forged. People want the sunshine. They crave the peace, the clarity, the rewards. But few are willing to stay grounded when the sky turns black. Few are willing to wait out the chaos, to keep walking forward when the road disappears, to trust in what they can't see. It's in that season, where progress is invisible and hope feels distant, that you learn what it truly means to believe. Not in outcomes, but in yourself, in your ability to endure, in your purpose even when nothing makes sense. The storm will try to convince you it's permanent. It will scream that it will never end, that the pain is forever. But storms are temporary by nature. They come to disrupt, to shake, to clear, but not to stay. What matters most is what you do in them. Will you panic or will you persevere? Will you give up or will you grow deeper roots and stand your ground? Every successful person you admire has survived their own storm. Their smiles now are rooted in tears they once shed. Their confidence was born in moments of deep doubt. Their wisdom was paid for in sleepless nights and broken plans. But they endured, not because they were invincible, but because they chose to stay, to bend without breaking, to believe that the sunshine was coming, even when there was no evidence of it. You have that same strength. It may not feel like it when you're drenched in disappointment or shaking under pressure, but it's there. Resilience doesn't shout. It whispers. It tells you to get up again, to take one more step, to breathe through the fear, to trust the process. And if you do, if you keep walking through the storm, you will find that the clouds do break. The wind does stop. The sun does rise. And when it does, it's not just light you find. You find clarity. You find peace, not because the world changed, but because you changed. You're no longer the person who entered the storm. You're stronger, wiser, and more grounded. You no longer fear the wind because you've faced it. You no longer fear being broken because you've been broken and rebuilt yourself. So yes, the sunshine is real. The peace, the success, the joy, they exist. But you don't get there by avoiding the storm. You get there by walking through it. By holding on when everything tells you to let go. By believing that beyond the clouds is a sky that still holds light and that you are strong enough to reach it.